Hi and welcome to JJ's Productions. We're here with another Stoke City Vlogcast, and with me as always is Jan. How are you?
I'm alright, thanks, folks. I hope all you're okay after last night. Sorry.
Yep, so as usual, we're recording on the day of the night before, and it's becoming a bit of a recurring theme this, where we try and talk about defeat, and to be honest, I'm in a mood where I don't particularly want to go into dissecting the result too much, purely
No.
because it was the second team versus Forest's second team, so the only thing you can actually say is FIFA in this game clip really got irony bang on by saying that we had the best defensive record. I'm going to say, as soon as I saw that when I was playing for the footage here, I couldn't help but laugh and think, God, if we could get a good defensive record, it would be fantastic. I think we would actually be sorted, because we seem to have actually sorted out the goal scoring issue. It's just that we need to be 3 goals down to actually start it.
Well, it's the same as Saturday, wasn't it?
Yeah, in fairness, I think when we went 3-0 down, a bit of me thought, we could actually get back to 3-2 again.
But we can't keep doing it. This is the thing. We just can't keep doing that and trusting to luck.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's very hard to defend any of it, to be fair.
Well, I did make this point, my last point, if you know what I mean, but we've started discussing this early. And apart from the team being bad, I feel so sorry for you supporters out there who go and watch them, and you're travelling away and you're coming away. You must be so deflated. I've been the away matches and I know I've come back under the coach and I haven't felt like talking, but it's all the time for you now, and I just feel so sorry. It's costing you money to get in these matches. Okay, your travel is still free, but
Well, it wasn't last night, was it?
no, not
So,
for the cup match. But but it's costing you money to come away, and you've just lost hope. I mean, I sit at home and watch it, and I've lost hope.
I mean, I think I've got to agree with the sentiment there, that if you're still going consistently, you've got what I can only call blind loyalty, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It's a case of you have got a belief that no matter what the result is, you'll keep going, so you have to be praised for that. That is unconditional love for the club.
Yeah, which is where I've got anyway. Unfortunately, I can't go any matches this season.
Well, at least as it stands.
As it stands. But my heart goes out to all of you. It really, really does. So, but just keep going and keep supporting them, and let's keep our chins up, and they've got to improve. They can't keep on like this.
I mean, this is actually quite away from what we talk about, but I don't know if you've heard about the Sunderland chairman, who was quite vocal about supporters who don't go to matches. And he was discussing the fact that you can pay £20 for a ticket to get into the Stadium of Light, and then it's the food for money for food and a drink and whatever while you're at the stadium. And he says some people would rather spend £50 in the pub rather than putting it into the club themselves. And I couldn't help but think, yeah, there are people who are like that, there's no taking away from that. There will be people who prefer not to pay in. But on the other hand, there are people like ourselves who would love to be attending, but we literally can't. And if we could actually get a way of watching the match regularly, because, we've had these midweek matches on Sky, and I know there's the option for the radio broadcast as well, which I think is a bit sneaky of whoever's selling that, because of, the fact that it's actually on FM. But it is options for supporters who can't go, but you're still looking at it, you're thinking, if you can actually go, you should go. But again, I thought that Sunderland chairman was really out of bounds, just attacking a base of supporters without any real justification behind it.
Yep. I mean, I sit at home and I'm still as passionate as what I am when I was sitting watching the game live. When I used to go.
Yeah.
I'm still so passionate about them.
I mean, I've just got to fact check that. It's either the chairman or the chief executive of Sunderland. If you Google the quote, I'm sure you'll be able to find it yourself. But it's just the general idea that I do wonder if that's something that would concern Stoke down the line, that you know, we've had a really bad start to the season. There's no way you can sugarcoat that. And it wouldn't be a surprise if ticket sales do start to drop down a little bit if we don't start to book up. And if that's the case, are we going to have Tony Scholes coming out and taking pot shots at supporters who can't actually attend? I mean,
I wish you'd have a pop at me. I'd love the chance. I really would.
I mean, this is the annoying thing, right? All of those years, they said, oh, we're going to hold off on expanding the stadium. You know, we don't want to expand it and then not be able to fill it. And the worst bit is, they have sort of been proven right there, but it's not necessarily down to the fans that. It is actually a case of the football's just really dovetailed, you know, and it's, well, not dovetailed, it's gone downhill. But it's a shame. You know, I'd love to be one of the 30,000, but I think at the moment we're getting close to one of 20,000.
Well, let's leave it there because we can't solve it. So let's talk about the game on Saturday. What's your thoughts on it?
On paper, which is a dangerous way to look at football, but on paper we should beat Rotherham home or away. Well, obviously it's away.
Yeah.
But like I say, it's never the same on paper, and you've got your stats as always, but I'm going to just nip in there a little ahead. Mm-hmm. And we've found out that they haven't drawn a game in the league this season. So what odds do you think there are that Stoke will be their first draw of the season?
Yay! Of course they will.
We always give clubs a little bit of charity like that, so, you know, it's most likely going to be Rotherham's turn for a bit of change out of our pockets. But it's just how you feel, isn't it? You can just imagine that we'd have, say, a crazy 3-3 draw or something. You know, we'd score the goals, but we concede them as before.
I mean, we do is Super 6, Sky Super 6, is it?
Yeah, we do. Well, we do both. We do the Super 6 and the Sky 6 aside.
Well, the Super 6, I just cannot put Stoke as a loss. I really can't. So I always put them as 1-0. Home or away, 1-0. And they're losing me so much money.
The only reason I've actually started not necessarily putting them down for losses, but maybe going for draws or slight losses, is the fact that I really hope they prove me wrong. You know, I'm not necessarily wanting that to win, but it's a case of I'd rather them prove me wrong and I lose than the other way around.
I mean, we're so lucky against Blackburn that we come back with 2. You know, else our goal difference was just going to take a mad dive again.
I mean, we didn't actually discuss this in the last episode because Gary Rowett really did dominate that one. But when the third goal went in for Blackburn, we were pretty frustrated, angry. You can put all the emotions on the table there. And then we had a food shopping order delivered, didn't we?
Yeah.
So this guy from the local supermarket comes in and he's like, oh yeah, you know, fair enough, we have all the stuff, go back in the living room, see the score, and we're 2 goals back in the game. So it was quite funny. We sort of wanted to go back in the kitchen, keep away from it. But it's just how we are at the moment. We seem to only score when we're behind, or by 3.
I know what I have been noticing, and last season as well, when we were in the Prem, that we come back from second half to the second half, and the opposition score.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to actually. The last 2 games, the Blackburn and the Nottingham Forest games, they're pretty much identical. You know, I think even Gary Rowett acknowledged that in last night's interview by saying you could literally copy, cut and paste the 2 interviews he did, because you're listening to, well, you're not just listening, but you're actually looking at the goals, and they're so similar in terms of how we've been cut open or mistakes have been made. I mean, it actually must be very frustrating if you're, I mean, I'm getting losing my words here, I'll admit, but it's the idea that if Rowett is actually coaching them in a good way, because I think there are loads of people online now who are actually doubting whether he's a good coach, so let's just for argument's sake say he is actually coaching them in an efficient way. It must be so frustrating for him to watch them making sloppy mistakes like that, because especially when it's game after game and you're thinking, have we not actually realised this within the space of 2 or 3 days that we can't make that mistake again?
I mean, I've mentioned the first 15 minutes of Stoke's game, but they aren't supposed to do it in the second half.
I know.
You know, they warmed up, they're supposed to come out and be ready to go, not let a goal in.
I'm actually beginning to wonder if it'd be worth Gary Rowett doing the Phil Brown and giving them a team talk in front of the Stoke supporters.
I just don't know, but
it'd certainly be, they call it the Stoke banter era at the moment, in the sense that we seem to be doing everything possible to make this the worst possible time to be a Stoke supporter. And I actually think Gary Rowett doing that and actually giving the players a dressing down in front of all the supporters it'd be the top of that.
Oh no, we played worse than this, love.
Oh, it's...
I can go back.
Oh, yeah.
And this is nothing.
I keep hearing Brian Little's name. Is he?
Oh dear God, don't.
I'm going to say, I get the feeling he brings nightmares to Stoke supporters.
Yeah.
I'll have to do my research just to find out how bad that was.
Well, I bought you that book, and you want to look in there and just have a look at Brian Little.
And so for me, it's Johan Boskamp. I was just getting into football and I used to hear his name a bit, but I never actually saw it, and I think I'm quite glad I didn't, because if anything, I think I'd have been spending more time researching Icelandic names than actually understanding football.
Well, you just have a look at some of the stats from the 80s, and you'll see that we aren't that bad at the minute.
Yeah, I will have to do some, but for the record, if you're listening, you've got memories of that era, feel free to educate me as well, because as much as I've got these books I need to be reading, I've also got videos to be making, so if you want to tell me your own story of a personal Brian Little or even earlier nightmare, feel free to share it.
As people, I'll make your comments on Alan Ball's era as well. I'd like to hear about that. So if you've got any memories of the Alan Ball era, let us know.
I've got to admit, I actually enjoyed this prospect, the idea that we are in a bad spot at the moment, but if everyone's sort of dwelling on now, maybe go back to the past and you'll realise, yeah, it could be worse.
Yep.
So,
anyway, here's my stats for them. Rotherham, they've had 3 wins, 6 losses, no draws, which is crazy. Well,
they're definitely all or nothing.
They're currently in 19th position, and we're 1 place above them, 18th. I've had a look at the goal scorers, and it's a bit patchy, to be honest. Not one person is scoring. It's like half a dozen of them have had a goal here or a goal there. And the only 2 I could pick out was Manning and Volks.
Which is interesting, because they're both from midfield, so
yeah.
It does tally, well, at least it tells me that their strikers aren't chipping in as much as maybe the midfielders at the moment.
Yeah, it's... I just found it strange that there wasn't one name that actually stuck out to me, like our Afobe. They haven't got anybody.
I mean, it could also be a case that, there's 2 ways of looking at it. Like you say, it's the strikers aren't scoring enough goals, but you could also argue the whole team's chipping in. So, the way I'm looking at it is, we've got to make sure that set plays and at just random intervals in the game, we don't let a concentration slip and some random player scores. Everyone at the moment is a threat rather than one individual.
Well, like I say, Afobe, he's on 4 goals for the league, and he scored 1. So he's on 5 goal tally. And why are you looking like that, Joshua?
I'm actually now doubting it. I'm just thinking to myself, he has scored 4 in the league, and I'm thinking, didn't he score 1 in the cup as well before last night, so wouldn't it be 6?
Well, I said that and you said no.
Yeah, I'll admit, I'm going to have to check the stats on that, but...
that's what you're supposed to have done, Joshua.
Well, this is the thing, I checked them, but I'm wondering if I don't think they updated them after last night, so it's 5 or 6, whichever way we're going.
Giving me false information.
I know.
Right, so anyway, Afobe is our main scorer. And I don't care actually what people think, but I think Afobe and Berahino has got to be the way forward.
The common consensus I've seen on Twitter in the past 12, 18 hours has been that we want a front 4 for the next game, in the sense that we need to get Afobe, Berahino, Ince and Bojan all on the pitch at the same time.
Definitely.
I have actually used them 4 in this gameplay, and it is possible. You just have to make sure that Bojan's a bit more defensively disciplined, but it's definitely possible.
We were discussing it last night, way late after the match, and we're on about Bojan, and to me, he can cross a ball. He can run with it, and he can beat his man, and he can put a good cross in, which he did, and the header went over the bar or wide. Yeah. And that just proved what we were saying, that we do need Bojan there.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, I've got to bring this up just because it made me laugh at the time. In the gameplay, Rotherham have just scored a worldie in my eyes, and I couldn't help but think when I was watching it, this is actually typical Stoke. We could actually be playing pretty alright and concede a goal like that out of nowhere, and then everyone's heads drops. Sorry, I'll go back to what you were saying about Bojan, but yeah, I completely agree. I think it's the idea that we need someone who can play low through balls rather than trying to just lump the ball up to a phobie, because I don't think he actually appreciates that. I think he'd rather have the ball to his feet. And
he's a footman, isn't he?
That's
what I call him.
I mean, definitely, Peter Crouch is always been described as a big man with a good feet, and I think a phobia is even better with his feet, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think we need to get balls into him like that. Maybe even try and get him through on goal rather than with his back to goal. And Bojan, for me, is the man to do that.
Well, yeah, because like I say, he can do a good cross. He's quick enough to dart into the box and have an effort, a shot on goal. And if we got Ince on the other side, and he can do the same, because Ince isn't frightened of having a shot wherever he is.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So I think if them four were kept in the team religiously, then I think we've got a shot of getting somewhere with them four.
I mean, the key for me is that by doing that, you're essentially saying we're going to have two midfielders who aren't going to go forward as much. And Woods is obviously certain to start, so it's a flip between Allen and Etebo. Now, I can understand why people would want Etebo, because Allen hasn't particularly played well this season. Yeah, I can't help but look at Etebo and think he is more suited to a box-to-box role where he's given the licence to go forward, where it maybe isn't effective when he's forward, but he likes the licence to go forward. Whereas I think if you tell Allen, right, you can go forward if you need to, but try and stay back just to back the play up, then I think Allen could be the more disciplined to just keep Woods with a partner, as it were. So that's my preference, but I'm just remembering Gary Rowett's quotes from last week when he said that he believes that Allen can be a good goal-scoring midfielder, and I'm thinking, but we don't need him to be that. It really irritated me when I saw it. We don't want him to be a number 10 or to be scoring 10 goals in a season. We want him to just sit with Ryan Woods, play in the midfield instead of trying to play on the edge of the box.
Well, I'll tell you now, and I'm going back to my favourite player, if he plays Juve on Saturday, I'll come off my sick bed, I'll go up there and I'll knock him out. Because he cannot play.
The argument for me is that surely those who played against Forest in the front line did more than Juve did in the previous 3 games he played. It's not a case of should Juve be involved, but it's a case of surely they should be involved ahead of him.
And it's like Peter Crouchy. He should not come on the first half.
He shouldn't be a starter for definite.
No. He needs to come on maybe the last 20 minutes. Or, 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
I mean, I'm tooting my own horn here, but I've brought Crouch on in this game. You'll see it later on. And I actually thought I did a perfect Crouch substitution in this game. So keep an eye out for it if you do watch the footage. But it's a case of, he is built for that. Just bring him on for the final 10-15 minutes. Whether you need a goal and you've got to lump a ball into the box, he can win it. Or he's good for if you're trying to hold on to a lead, so you can bring a big man on to defend a corner.
If we're in front, bring him on. And rest them, we've done the 70 minutes or whatever.
And then it's always a choice as well. If you're chasing the lead, you can take off a phobie just for the fact that there's no point having 2 big men on. But if you're defending the lead, you can take off Berahino and have 2 big men to go back for corners. Yeah. It's not rocket science. At least it doesn't appear to me to be that.
No.
So,
but as I say, that to me is the team, and feel free to comment about it. I can take the stick, honestly.
I mean, we're going back to this discussion we had last night, because it does impact us when we're going into the Rotherham game, that they seem to be a team in the sense that they've got 11 individuals who work together, whereas I feel like we've got individuals but we aren't working as well together as a unit. I mean, there's been a lot of criticism lately about the fact that when Rowett came here, he brought a defensive coach, a midfield coach, a forwards coach, and the argument is, are any of them working together to actually create a team? And the only thing I'm going to counter that with is, if we do actually manage to get the mould together, if we do manage to mould a team, sure, we have actually got individuals that should be better than Rotherham. You know, that's the way you look at it, because...
I mean, on paper, they're all better, really.
I mean, if anything, all of them have played at higher levels. I think the only one who's actually had a chance at the Premier League, I think, is Joe Mattock. And that was just because he was a wonder kid, but he never actually progressed.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to be honest, folks, I've not heard of any of them. And I do read up on them, you know, before I do this vlog, you know, I do read up on them, but I can honestly say I didn't know any of them.
No, I've got to admit, I only know a handful, and that's just from playing FIFA, really. So, you know, that's a sign of the opposition we're up against. You know, and I'm not being offensive to Rotherham fans or anything like that. If you know them players, you probably know their threats better than we do. But, well, I say probably, you should know. But it's a case of, like, we're expecting a win in the sense that we have got the better players, but we're also expecting to lose because we know that we haven't got the best team at the moment. We've got the best individuals maybe, but not the best team.
Yeah, and the sooner that they start playing as a team and not individual, Stoke, then the better we'll be. Because I'll say it over and over, we do not play as a team.
I've got one last thing to say before we do a wrap up, because we've got to do a prediction as well. Last episode we didn't cover it, and this episode we've hardly covered it, but Moritz Bauer, I'm going to say, he played against Forest, which I wasn't expecting, and by all accounts he had a very bad match. So, I mean, I'm looking at that third goal they scored in particular, and I'm thinking, where was he?
I don't think he wanted to be there, to be honest.
I can imagine he felt like he was having a spank. You know, he felt like he'd been put out there to have a spanking. So, if that's the case, you know, the way I see it is he's got to take his lumps. You know, if he's been targeted, he's got to, you know, pull his shoulders up and say, right, I'll take it on the shoulder.
He's got man up.
Exactly, you know, prove Rowett wrong. Yeah. Don't go out there and try and shrug and go, oh, he's picking on me. Actually go out there and prove him wrong, and he didn't last night. And at this rate, it's going to be a few months until he actually gets a chance to do so.
Can I just say one thing?
We've got a minute or two, yeah?
Yep. Me Johnny.
Oh yeah, of course. John Waters is out for 6 months, but well, I think it's 6 months anyway. It definitely sounded a bad injury.
I feel so sorry for Mr. Walsh.
I heard 6. I'm just thinking it's either 6 months or 6 weeks, but whichever it is, I am sorry that he's injured. You know, yeah, he's an Ipswich player. We don't come up against him if he's playing for Ipswich. But on the other hand, I can't help but think to myself, he's been a loyal Stoke servant, so we don't wish him ill health.
Yeah, I just want him to get better so much. He's 35 now, so just get better soon. Okay, so we're just going to go to predictions very fast. What are you thinking? 2-1. Stoke. I was just going to say, I think I'm going to go 3-2 Stoke, actually, just in the sense that I really hope we take this all-out attack attitude and it works, but I am not convinced. It could be 3-2 the other way again. Don't be so negative. But let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you've enjoyed this vlogcast, please leave it a like, and if you're enjoying the Stoke City Vlogcast, subscribe to the channel. Other than that, all I've got to say is thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks, folks. Don't forget to comment. Bye for now, everyone. Bye.